Notable mention, this is the $15 minimum wage that was proposed in the recent stimulus package for $1,400. And it's a photo of Bernie Sanders doing a wrestling move, $15 per hour minimum wage, on finishing off small businesses. And you've got Joe Rogan and the other commentators just watching that as the big companies win in the end.
Just on that, the minimum wage in Oz is $17.89, I think, an hour, $750 or $3 a week.
Yeah.
What people have to understand about the minimum wage, and I heard it described this way a long time ago, and you always look after those that can't look after themselves. I understand that. You need the safety net to catch those. But it's a ladder. This is a ladder. You're not supposed to live on the bottom rung of the ladder.
Yeah.
If you get an entry-level job, and you get an entry-level job because anybody can do it because you haven't got the skills, you haven't got the experience, you haven't got the education, you don't have the training. I get that. That's why you have entry-level jobs.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to live there. You know, nobody is entitled to a life of 3 holidays, overseas holidays every year just for being. No. It's a ladder. You work your way up. You get skilled, you get trained, you get education, you get experience. And all of a sudden, the minimum wage is a good place to start, but not a nice place to live. It's not supposed to be a good place to. It's not a bed, as it was described by someone else. It's a ladder. You climb the ladder.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to work. Otherwise, everybody sits back on their fat, spotty behinds, does nothing, achieves nothing, contributes nothing, and wants to get paid. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
A business owner, now you imagine, $750, I think it was $753 a week is the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Now, a business owner's got to make at least 10 times that just to pay for you. Because there are on costs, and only business owners understand this.
Yeah.
There are on costs. And so, it's only $753 a week. Really? There are on costs. Young man asked me the other day, he said, I want to start a political party, what should I do? And I said, have you started a business yet? He said, no, so we'll go start a business. Even if it's an online business, and understand how tough this is. Because as Yogi Berra, famous American baseballer, said, in theory works, but in practice it doesn't. So get out there. But back to the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Folks, it's not a bed, it's a ladder. Jim Rohn said it.
Yeah.
It's a ladder. It's not a bed. You're not supposed to stay on the bottom rung. You're supposed to learn and work and be an example to your kids and grow into something more. Now, for those that cannot, who have a genuine disability that means they cannot, of course we've got a safety net for them. No problem. But the last thing we want is people living on minimum wage and complaining we want more. No.
Yeah.
No. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's kind of a crappy system. I've had this discussion a couple of years ago with a socialist on this. I was making the point to them that we shouldn't have any minimum wage. We shouldn't. But the problem is the system we have right now with the regulations, it's so hard to get up. That's
only hard to get up because the unions are controlled by the globalists and they demand they shut it down.
Exactly,
we used to have junior rates. Remember juniors? Like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid after school, they'd work in a shop. And they paid junior rates. Now, why were they paid junior rates? Why were they paid less for the same job that an adult was doing? Because they're kids. They are learning.
That's right.
And so junior rates was good. Who killed junior rates? Who killed all the kids getting jobs? Unions. See, the unions pretend to look after the workers. They don't care.
They don't.
They care about power.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Exactly.
Now, there are good unions out there. I'm not bashing unions. I'm a big fan of good unions that look after their members.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of unions that buy houses for corrupt politicians, for example. I'm not a big fan of union officials who spend $5,000 on a Canali suit opposite New South Wales Parliament House. I know exactly who you are, mate, and you know who you are too. So you want to go spend $5,000 on Canali suits whilst ripping money out of the union funds. Well, good on you, buddy. But that's not the sort of unionists that I support. I support the unionists who genuinely look after their people. Yeah. And as I've mentioned it before, there are a couple of unions that split from their main union in Queensland. They were medical nurses union, for example, because the nurses were being told to apologise for their white privilege before they treated Aborigines. And they quite rightly said, get stuffed, form their own union. They're looking after their union members. Big fan of unions, good unions.
Yeah.
Big fan of businesses that look after their people. Not a big fan of corrupt crony capitalists.
Yeah. And don't think the unions are like always for the workers, guys. I mean, the top monetary donors in the 2016 election, I think 25 out of the top 30 donors were unions. They weren't just, companies like Alphabet, the parent company of Google. You got to watch out for these things. On the minimum wage thing, when I was progressive, I was in favor of it because I was just thinking, points like, if you're a mother with a kid and a couple kids and you're trying to make it through, you can't live on a minimum wage job. And my point to that is you shouldn't be on a minimum wage job. You shouldn't. You're meant to be working, going up the ladder in time. See, the job, and I can only talk about this, the best way to talk about this is on a personal level. I wouldn't have gotten my job with my father and develop the skills I needed to in the construction industry if they enforced a minimum wage on us. It was only because we were family members that I could do it. See, if it was for anyone else, I wouldn't be able to do it. I needed to work for free for a time so that I could get to a minimum wage level like $7.50 to get a proper job in Australia. So what happened was, for the first few years, I did work for free when I was in year 8. So I could develop the trade skills on a construction site.
And they have that in the United States, the system of interns.
Yeah, interns.
You work for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're useless.
Yeah, exactly.
You are utterly enthusiasm.
You really are useless.
In business, enthusiasm counts for not much when you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Exactly. I remember there was one job I took on where the employer, he literally said, okay, we have to get Joel from useless to actually useful. And it's so true. Like, people would be like, I'm not useless. It's like, no, you need to recognize you are useless, and it's going to take some time before.
God loves you. There's no problem there.
Oh yeah,
you're of equal value in God's eyes.
Yeah.
But in terms of designing a web page, you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And the amount of money they expend on you to actually get things going, you'll be surprised how much time and effort and energy it takes, and money they invest into getting you as productive, and then often they leave.
Okay, everybody that's a big fan of minimum wage being above an unrealistic level, go out and start a business and go hire your first person, and then come back and give me your opinion on what the minimum wage should be. And I mean this sincerely. Don't give me theory, don't give me history, don't give me facts and figures. Yeah. Go start a business and hire your first employee with all the impediments that come with that, and then tell me your opinion on minimum wage. And I bet you it'll change dramatically.
Absolutely.
Next point.
So Joe Biden has been signing these executive orders, and this is the graph. That's actually the first 2 days. So you've got George W. Bush. He waited till like maybe day 10 before he signed his first few executive orders, and then you've got Barack Obama who waited a day or so before he signed his executive orders, and there's Trump. And then you got Biden in the first couple of days signs 40 executive orders, more than any president in their first 100 days, and he just shoots right up. It almost looks like
they want to get him before his brain melts completely.
Yeah, he's making up for lost time. They want to get him before Kamala Harris knifes him in the back. So I just wanted to point that out, and at the speed of which they're doing it. This doesn't seem like unity. Also, FYI, California, they're nearing their goal of 1.5 million signatures they need. I think they're about 1.3 now. As of filming this, I hope they get it. I hope they recall Gavin Newsom, and A1 has this policy that they're working on as well.
I love recall elections. This is brilliant. Newsom, I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks back. He's the governor whose COVID lockdowns were so extreme that people actually said, "Okay, that's enough." And this is California. This is left of left.
Yeah.
And so, and the gossip was saying, like, when it gets close to 1.5, he'll ease up. He did. Yeah. But this is the beauty of it, folks. This is recall elections. This is what we want to introduce to Australia. Your state MP, your federal MP, everybody has to be responsive to you 24/7, 365, because if enough people decide that they're sacked, they're sacked.
Yeah.
And you watch them respond to you rather than the money and the lobbyists and the party machine.
Yeah, they should be responsive to votes, right? Not money. That's what we want. Anyway, notable mention, Native American tribe, they called on Joe Biden's drilling freeze, a direct attack on their sovereignty, which is a great way to weaponize some of the leftist attacks back on them.